hear about pain management and then advanced care planning. Now, unfortunately, one of the speakers on pain management from a pain specialist from Guy's Hospital, unfortunately she's not well today, so she's not able to join us. So with you having Yasmin, who was going to share that session, talking about the benefits of acupuncture, and some of those I haven't got my introduction for. And she's going to talk about the benefits of acupuncture. Now, Yasmin, and then we'll have the advanced care planning from 2 till 3, and then sadly it's the end of the day. But if you've enjoyed it, please at the end of the session fill in your evaluation forms. There should have been one on every seat, so that we know what you've enjoyed and what you think we could do better next time. So to introduce Yasmin to you, Yasmin is actually part of our organising group, so she's a member of the Valley Road Surgery Patient Group, but she's also a specialist in acupuncture and operates in Streatham. And she started training after an interest from a friend of hers who was having terrible sinus problems. And Yasmin,
oh, it was me.
Oh, it was you? Oh, I thought it was a friend of yours. Oh, no. So Yasmin was having terrible sinus problems, and so she, as one type of treatment, she went and had 5 sessions of acupuncture, and the condition completely
disappeared. Yep.
So as a result of that, she became very interested in acupuncture and is now working as an acupuncturist locally. So I hope you'll be interested to hear what she has to say about pain management, chronic pain management, and have your questions ready, and we'll finish the session about 2:05 at the latest.
Okay.
Thanks, Yasmin.
Thank you, Susie, for that introduction. I hope you can hear me. My voice isn't very great, so I will try and project. But if you can't hear me, if you just put your hand up at the back, so I know I need to speak about. Okay. Sorry, are you okay? Can you hear me? Right, thank you for that introduction, Susie. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'll be giving you an overview of acupuncture for pain. So what I'll be talking about today, basically what is acupuncture for anybody who may be unfamiliar with acupuncture, how acupuncture works, is it painful, the crucial question, the one that I often get asked, are there any side effects, acupuncture for pain specifically, and how many treatments are needed, and I'll then end with questions. I'll be happy to take questions at the end. To start with, what is acupuncture? So basically acupuncture, the earliest records for acupuncture were found about 3,000 years ago. It was set up about 3,000 years ago, but there's a theory that it's significantly older than that one. So acupuncture is a part of traditional Chinese medicine, and it's used for a whole range of conditions. And what it focuses on is that there is a balance of energy in the body. The idea is that if anything becomes stuck, energy that they refer to as qi, if it becomes stuck anywhere, you have pain in the body. And so what it does is it focuses on clearing any blockages, getting things to move properly, and basically clearing the pain as a result. So the as acupuncturists, we focus on meridians, which there is a picture of there of the upper part of the body. There are at least 390 different acupuncture points, just to give you an idea, and they're all over the body. So when anything happens in terms of pain, what we do is a full diagnosis, and we work out where the blockage is and what's causing the pain. So to unblock the pain, we obviously have to move the qi, the energy, and we use 3 different techniques. The main one is the needles, the acupuncture needles, which I'll talk about in a moment. Second one is cupping, which you may have heard of. It's suddenly become quite popular. People like Gwyneth Paltrow have suddenly turned up with great big blotchy marks on their back at events. That's cupping. So, and the third one is gua sha, which is also becoming quite popular for facial gua sha. Don't know if any of you have heard of that one. It helps just move the muscles, unblock any blockages, get blood flow to the area, increase collagen to the area, and just improves the health of the skin as a result. But we can use it on the back, which is the main place that we use it. So if you have back pain, severe muscular pain at the back, we'll often use gua sha as part of the treatment. So how does it work? Well, in medical speak, it's 2 very nice complicated things. It modulates sympathetic upregulation, and it encourages endogenous opiate release. Bit of a mouthful, basically translated, that means that it encourages the body to release its own natural painkillers. So it also releases endorphins, which help calm you down. Cortisol levels all come down, stress comes down, it relaxes the muscle, and everything starts to flow properly. That's how it works. Is it painful? The really important question, the one thing that I hear all the time is, well, I don't do needles. You know, I'm scared of needles. I don't even like having an injection, so I'm not going to do acupuncture. So just to point out, sorry, I've just come in the way, an actual syringe is that blue one over there. So that's the size of a syringe that you will have had your booster or your vaccine. The acupuncture needle is that one there. The acupuncture needle can actually be passed through the syringe needle because it's that thin. It's literally the width of a hair. So it's very, very fine. Most patients will say that they don't feel most points when they've been putting it. They might feel a slight prick when it goes in, and after that, absolutely nothing. At other times, you might feel a slight sensation of electricity going through your body, but that's fine, it dissipates, or a dull sensation. So, yeah, so it's not anything to worry about. Generally, I find that most patients will fall asleep during a treatment, and they're always worried that they're going to start snoring. So please don't worry, that's actually a really good sign. And the reason why they fall asleep is because it actually encourages the release of endorphins, which really calm you down. So are there any side effects? Now, side effects are very rare. And if you do have side effects, they're very mild and it's short-term only. Sorry, I'm standing right in the wrong place. So there might be a tiny bit of blood that pops up, which we just wipe away and it solves the problem. There might be a bit of bruising at a particular point. It's generally where the point really needed an acupuncture needle. That's where you might bruise. We can generally, as acupuncturists, spot where it's going to bruise and give it a bit of a rub with a cold spoon or cold bit of metal, and that clears the bruise. Sometimes, occasionally, you do get a bigger bruise, but it'll be one of those bruises that isn't painful, it's purely discoloration, and it disappears after a few days. Occasionally people feel dizzy, but as an acupuncturist I always tell people to have something to eat prior to their treatment, because they often feel dizzy because they've turned up without having eaten anything. The important point to note here is that if you are taking warfarin or any other anticoagulants, so sometimes called blood thinners, you can't have acupuncture, I'm afraid. What you could have instead is an acupressure massage. So that just works on massaging the meridians to get the flow moving and to clear any blockages. But acupuncture, I'm afraid, is not recommended in those situations. So acupuncture for pain. It's been great that the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence last year actually accepted acupuncture to be used in the medical profession, by the medical profession or within the medical profession, for a range of different pain conditions. So I've listed them here. So chronic tension pains, which are very common, migraines, which unfortunately are also very common, musculoskeletal conditions. Now that can happen as a result of a trauma, an injury, just old age as well. You can obviously find that you just suddenly sit up or stand up and there's a twinge and you're in pain. So it can be something as simple as that. Chronic pains such as neck pain. During lockdown, a lot of people have sat in front of computers, in front of Zoom for very long periods, and chronic neck pain has become a bit of an issue, I'm afraid. Joint pain, so including rheumatoid arthritis, you can actually help to alleviate some of that pain. Dental pains and post-operative pain. When it comes to sort of general pain in the neck, we also cover the face as well, because it's often referred pain on the face. So the important thing to note here is that unlike painkillers, acupuncture doesn't just stop the pain. We focus on getting rid of the root cause of the pain. So that's what treatment would focus on. So it's not just about giving you a bit of a quick fix and sending you off, and then of course you're in pain a couple of days later. So how many treatments are needed? Now this is I'm frequently asked this question right at the start. It varies, unfortunately. If you've got a chronic condition, it might take a few more treatments, but generally we suggest 3 or 4 treatments and then a review. And then often treatments can be spaced out if it's has a really good impact. Generally, I find in my practice that I will say 3 or 4, but then by the 3rd session, they're just so much better that we're actually talking about spacing out acupuncture treatments for the next. And then the idea is to have somebody just turn up for maybe once every 6 weeks as a maintenance, if needed. So that's not always needed. So any questions? And I know it was a short presentation, but I'd be very happy to take questions. Yes, thank you.
What about fibromyalgia?
Yes, I do actually have a few patients with fibromyalgia. It does actually really help with the pain, but obviously it takes a longer number of treatments, and we try to get to the root cause of fibromyalgia. So with fibromyalgia, it has a slightly different diagnosis in Chinese medicine. It's not a medical condition in Chinese. It's seen as a bunch of symptoms. So yeah, it can certainly be used for that one as well. Yeah, I mean, it's not recognised by NICE yet as being a reason for but having said that, you could go to an acupuncturist and that would certainly be treated.
I have to say, I had a really nasty case of tennis elbow a few years back, and it was brilliant. I could feel the warmth going into the joint, so I'll definitely recommend it.
Great, and it's not just tennis elbow, it's golfer's elbow as well. So yeah, so golfer's elbow as well.
Yes.
It's very, very good for that one as well. So it's very good for muscular, skeletal stuff. Yes.
How do you get this referred? Is it self?
It can be done 2 ways. You can talk to your GP. You'd need to see whether they'd be happy for you to have a block of treatment as part of their practice. Some GP practices are opening up and actually including it as part of the treatment package. The other option is private insurance. If you have private insurance, you can certainly check with your insurer as to whether they'll let you come and see an acupuncturist. Most of them will, because it's recognised. You just need to double check that they cover it, and the only stipulation is that it has to be a British Acupuncture Council member, and I'm a British Acupuncture Council member, so yeah, yeah. Any other questions?
I would just add to that our practice, Streatham Primary practice, did have a GP who was an acupuncturist. So we were lucky. That's how I got my
Okay,
information.
great. Great. Are there any other questions?
If an acupuncture therapy session doesn't work the first time, is it worth doing it again?
That's a very good question. It is cumulative, so it might not have a massive impact the first time. It builds. It's like having a course of antibiotics. You wouldn't stop on day 2 because you just feel better. You would want the whole course. So the idea is it builds on itself, and the aim is to get to a point where you don't actually need it. You're just kind of, a lot better. But that's a really good question. Any other questions? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I'm just taking the mic off. Shall I pass that to the next?
I'm not sure if we're going to have do we need a small break?
No, no,
Carry on, right? Okay, then fine. Thanks very much.
Hang on a sec. Just give me a second.
Okay, so the lady, there's one of my papers with one. She's saying,
I think that's from my call in here. I think that's if I'm sort of looking at it in front of me. I've got the notes. Let's just tap. Sorry. We might need to send it to the desktop because it's looking a bit funny. Oh yeah, it's looking a bit protected. Sorry about this. Bit of a technical. I seem to be having constant
Digest the previous. Just like to ask before we start, how many of you would be interested in having acupuncture from the hearing the last speaker? I can just definitely recommend it. I was absolutely scared of needles, and you don't feel a thing. Yeah, you should actually try. I keep saying my son-in-law's got a terrible shoulder, terrible pain, and I keep saying, try it. The way it was explained to me was how everything opens up and allows the blood to flow and heals. It really starts the healing process.
It's very expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I must say I was very, very lucky. We had a lovely GP in our practice, and when I went to him with my problem, he just said, he could do it for me.
And is that still not letting you do it?
Yeah, I mean, he used to sort of, funnily enough, he used to do it on his in those days, GPs had an afternoon off when they did their paperwork. So he used to go off, he used to sort of put the needles in, leave me, and then go off and do his paperwork and come back. So we did a weekly session like that for several weeks. And gradually got better and better.
Is he still there?
That was Dr. Pratchett, do you remember?
Oh, yes.
He was lovely. He went on, I think he did sort of almost missionary work in Africa eventually, didn't he?
Oh,
That was a lovely
yes,
man.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I go to Gateway Clinic.
Do you have to pay for that?
No, it's an NHS one.
Oh, is it? And you get acupuncture there?
You have to be referred by one of the
Oh, well, there you go.
GPs.
Well, maybe you could. Sorry, what's your name? Patricia, that's right. Yeah, Patricia. Sorry. Hello again. Right. I'm pleased to introduce Verena. We've had Verena here a few times before, and it's an extremely valuable service and the information she gives you. Without her, I've actually followed her advice and done all the things she advised. And I've passed that on to the rest of my family.
Oh, amazing.
And we've been really pleased.
Oh, great.
So thank you very much for coming, and over to you.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Verena. I am the Community Outreach and Training Lead for the charity Compassion in Dying, but I'm actually here under the umbrella of the Lambeth Advanced Care Planning Consortium. And I'm here today to talk about advanced care planning, what it is, why it's important, and how you can benefit from the free service that we provide in Lambeth. So I'm going to be giving you quite a lot of information in a short period of time. So I'm going to keep it quite sort of simple as possible, and quite basic, but I'm hoping that after today's session, those of you that haven't made an advanced care plan will make use of our free service and get a bit of support to make one for yourself. Before I kind of launch into the main part of the presentation, has anyone here actually got an advanced care plan apart from yourself? Just one person. Just two people, okay. That's great, because that means I'm hoping the rest of you will make use of our service and will have one in the near future. So that's fine. Hopefully I'll convince you about the importance of advanced care planning. I also want to say thank you very much for inviting me here today, because I guess I know it's been a lot of work to put this event on today. And what's really nice is I think that the aims of the patient network very much aligns with what we're doing. It's all about ensuring the patient is central to to providing services, and that you've got the information, the tools to be able to make informed decisions about your care and treatment. So I'm hoping this session will be really positive for you, and yeah, there'll be time for questions at the end. So I will just give you a bit of a definition of what advanced care planning is. So advanced care planning is a way to help health and care professionals, so doctors and people involved in your care, and people close to you, to understand how you want to be cared for in a time in the future that you might not be able to make decisions for yourself. And that could be for many reasons. It could be because potentially you have dementia, severe dementia, or severe brain injury. And you can record these wishes for your future care in something called an advanced care plan. And one of the aims of our work in Lambeth is to encourage people to make plans as early as possible, because unfortunately people leave it until it's too late, or until they're in a really stressful situation where their loved one is perhaps has fluctuating capacity, or they leave it until their loved one actually isn't able to make decisions anymore, and that makes it very distressing for the individual, obviously, and everyone involved in their care. And the reason that we set up this project is that we're aware that there's a lot of misunderstanding around advanced care planning, and people often think that it's really complicated or really expensive, and that's why we set up the consortium in Lambeth. We're a group of organisations that basically come together to make sure people are aware of what's available in terms of planning ahead and supporting people to make those plans. So I'll just give you some quotes of why people have told us that they plan ahead. So these are some quotes from some of them are from people that we've met in Lambeth, and some of them are from people that have used the organisation that I work, Compassion in Dying's free information line. So one of the things that became very apparent during the pandemic, obviously it's been a really difficult time for so many people, but one of the positive things that I guess that if you can talk about it in those terms, is that it's made people much more open to talking about future care and aware of the importance of planning for it. And one of the quotes, I don't know if you can see them there, but one of the quotes says, "I'm worried about being alone in hospital and not being able to tell the doctors what's important to me." And unfortunately that happened to many people during the pandemic. People weren't allowed to visit them in hospital, and having something written down enables the people who are looking after you to know what's important to you if you can't speak for yourself, if you're too ill to speak, or if you lose capacity. Some people have very strong views about a specific person being able to make decisions for them. And one of the things that I've picked up quite regularly from the conversations that I've had with people in Lambeth is people often say, "Oh, it's fine, I don't need to make an advanced care plan because my daughter knows what I want, or my son knows what I want." And that's great that you've had the conversation. But what people don't often know is that unless you've actually appointed your loved one as what's called a lasting power of attorney, then if you lose capacity and the decision needs to be made about your future care and treatment, then it will be the healthcare professional, it will be the doctor that would decide, and it might not be what you want for yourself. So it's really important that if you do have strong views about about someone being able to have the authority to make decisions about your treatment and care, that you consider making a lasting power of attorney. And I'll talk about what that is a bit later on. But that can be a really central reason for people making an advanced care plan. Some people might have very strong faith views that they want to be honoured in relation to their care. And some people might want to be cared for at home rather than hospital. And making an advanced care plan enables a conversation to happen to talk about the practicalities of that, if that's what someone wants. And some people, the quote from the top right-hand side is from someone, it's quite common for people that phone our information line people that have witnessed someone having a very difficult end of life and perhaps being given treatment against their wishes, quite invasive treatment, for example, and they want to find out how to avoid having to go through that situation potentially themselves. So those are some of the reasons why people might want to make advanced care planning, but make an advanced care plan. But ultimately, it's a really positive thing to do, and it's a really kind thing to do as well for yourself, obviously, but for the people that are involved, people that are close to you as well, because it makes it so much easier when you know what someone wants, when you know what's important to them, and you can't always assume that you do know what someone wants. So that's a bit of an overview of the benefits. I'm now going to talk about what we call the 3 tools for planning ahead. So I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, but the first one I'm going to talk about is called an advanced statement. So that's a statement of wishes of who you are and what's important to you and your identity. And then the next tool is an advanced decision to refuse treatment. And that's legally binding, a refusal of treatment in advance of a time that you can't make the decision for yourself. And then finally, the lasting power of attorney for health and welfare, and that's where you nominate someone to act on your behalf. The consortium in Lambeth only provides support around the health and welfare lasting power of attorney, so not the finance one. So I'm going to start with the advanced statement, which is actually, I always talk about it as my favourite tool. And what I like about it is it's a really gentle way into talking about care and treatment. And we have a template. I've got a stall outside with some examples of the documents that I'm talking about, so you're welcome to come and have a look at them afterwards. But there is a specific template that we use in the consortium that is divided up in different sections, so section for treatment, section for care, and within the different sections there's certain prompts. So you can talk about, for example, where you want to be cared for, how you might like to be dressed, any kind of faith, things in relation to your faith that are important to you. So for example, I've got an advanced statement, and in my advanced statement I talk about how I feel the cold really badly, and it might sound quite trivial, but I can't sleep if my feet are cold. Something like that, I think it would be important for people to know about. So some people talk about anything really that's important to you and your identity. So if there's a specific name that you want to be called, or if there are certain foods that you might be allergic to, or you don't like, or you do like, or certain things that you might be scared of as well. So it's a really nice way into sort of thinking about future care. And it's also quite a nice thing to open up conversations with your family, because a lot of people, I think, struggle to have conversations about the future. And I think having a kind of framework like an advance statement can be really helpful with that. It's free, and you don't need to involve a solicitor in making one. And it's not legally binding, but it has legal weight in the sense that it needs to be taken into account when someone's making the decision about your care if you are unable to make the decision yourself. And you need to be realistic. It's really important to be aware of that. You can't just sort of demand to be taken to France for lunch, Paris for lunch or something every Sunday. You need to be realistic. And what we find, once people have made an advanced statement, they start thinking a bit more deeply about other aspects of their care, and they might think, there's certain situations I really, really don't want to happen in the future, I really don't want to be in the future. And in that case, they might go on to complete what we call the second tool, which is the advanced decision to refuse treatment. And this allows you to record any kind of treatment, any kind of medical treatments that you don't want to be given in the future if you are not able to make the decision yourself, or communicate the decision yourself. And the advanced decision to refuse treatment, it's legally binding as long as it meets certain criteria. So there's certain wording that needs to be included, and certain other things that need to be included to make it valid and legally binding. And we can provide support with you around that. And we have a form, again, like the advanced statement. We have a template that you can use, again, which is free, and you don't need to involve a solicitor in making one. It's sometimes referred to as a living will. You might know, you might be more familiar with that term, but the legal term is an advanced decision to refuse treatment. And we would encourage, if you're refusing treatment, it's important to speak to your doctor, so you've got a good understanding of, if you do choose to refuse treatment, about the consequences of that. So you fully understand what the seriousness of the form. So what is also really important about both the advanced decision and the advanced statement is that you need to, there isn't like a national database, you need to make sure that people are aware that you've got one. So what we recommend is, once you've completed one, that you make copies, and you can ask for it to be kept on your doctor's summary care record. You can also, we've got a notice of advanced decision card that you can carry around, a bit like a donor card that you can carry with you. There, you can ask for the local ambulance service to have a copy of your advanced decision as well. And I'm trying to think the other way. So there's also message in a bottle. Has anyone heard of message in a bottle before? It's quite an unusual but very clever idea. So it's a little, you get them from the Lions Club, and it's a little white bottle with a green top and a little green cross on it. And inside, I think there's a yellow piece of paper, and some people put their advanced decision inside the bottle, and then you keep it in your fridge. And then you can put a little sticker on the front of your fridge, and paramedics are trained to check your fridge. If you were to collapse in your home, they're trained to check the fridge for information about your health with inside the message in a bottle. There is also something called Coordinate My Care, which is an electronic record that you can make available to anyone involved in your care. So that could be the ambulance service, social work, your GP, and that is something that you would need to have an email address, and you need to set it up online, and you can ask for these tools to be attached to it. So you can ask for your advanced decision or advanced statement to be attached to the Coordinate My Care record, and that's available 24/7. I'm aware, as I said, I'm giving you lots of information, but that's why I'm here today, because we can provide support for any questions that you've got around what I'm covering going forward. So that is the advanced decision. So just to give you an example of why someone might want to make an advanced decision, it could be because maybe something to do with their, for example, to refuse a blood transfusion. They might want to refuse that in their advanced decision. Some people might choose to make one, for example, if they're terminally ill and they know that they're going to be offered quite invasive treatment in the future that would be futile, and they might decide, actually, I don't want to have that treatment. I want to prioritise my quality of life. So that might be another reason why someone might want to make an advanced decision. So it's obviously a very personal choice for the individual. So I'm going to move on now to the final tool, which is the lasting power of attorney for health and welfare. So health and care decisions, and it allows you to choose. This is probably the one actually that most of you will be at least more familiar with. I think most of you have probably heard of it, and it allows you to give someone you trust, and that's key. Someone you need to trust them to have the legal power to make decisions on your behalf if you're unable to. And it covers decisions like medical treatment, where you want to be cared for, and just basic things like your daily routine. And it's legally binding, like the advance decision, and you don't need a solicitor. And that's another sort of key message I'd like to get across today, is that a lot of people think that the lasting power of attorney is really too expensive and they can't afford it. And that is really not the case. So, and certainly if you're on certain benefits, you can register it for free, and it doesn't have to involve any sort of cost. But at the moment, it costs £82 to register. And we can provide, we're working alongside a really brilliant organisation called Ask Irwin in Lambeth, who can provide specialist support to complete a lasting power of attorney. Because I'm aware it is, it can be quite a sort of, for some people, quite a sort of an intimidating process. So we can support people around that. You definitely don't need to involve a solicitor unless you want to. So that the trust thing is really important. So obviously you're giving someone a lot of responsibility. You know, you're potentially giving them the responsibility, for example, to refuse life-sustaining treatment on your behalf. So it's a big responsibility. So you need to make sure that whoever you're nominating understands that. They understand how important their duties are. And one of the things that can be really helpful is to give them a copy of the advance statement that I talked about, the first document. So that's a statement of who you are and what's important to you, a statement of wishes. And that can be really helpful for your attorney, so they have a better understanding. Because I think people often think, just presume. They presume that they know what someone wants, and that really isn't the case sometimes. And what else can I tell you about the lasting power of attorney? So, you can nominate more than one person, and that's another important thing to bear in mind, that if you're nominating more than one person, so two people, for example, acting together as your attorney, you need to make sure that they get on and that they're able to make decisions, because if they can't agree on the decision to be made, the decision, then the decision can't be made. And one other important thing to be aware of is that once you've made your lasting power of attorney, that we recommend that you register it as soon as possible. And the reason being is that if you wait until someone has lost capacity, so until someone has lost the ability to make decisions for themselves, then someone tries to register it and there's a problem with the form, there's a mistake in the form, then that would render it invalid. So it's really important to pick up any mistakes early while someone has got capacity. And for all three of these tools, they need to be made while someone has capacity. So you can't nominate yourself as lasting power of attorney when someone has lost the ability to make decisions for themselves. So the earlier the better is really important. And you need to sort of think about the practicalities, and also just to say that the attorney can't just do what they want. They need to make decisions in your best interest. So they need to, for example, if you've got an advance statement, have a look at the advance statement and see what you've written in it. Speak to other people that know you well to ask what their thoughts are about the decision, and other people involved in your care. So it's not just giving them kind of free rein to do what they want. They really need to make sure it's what's called in your best interest, what you would have wanted for yourself. So the forms for the previous two documents, the advance statement and the advance decision, you can get through the Lambeth Advanced Care Planning Consortium, or through the organisation I work for, Compassion in Dying. But the form for the lasting power of attorney you get through the Office of the Public Guardian. But if you use support through our organisation, the consortium, then we would help you with that process. It's no problem. And one other thing to say actually about the advance decision and the lasting power of attorney for health and welfare is both of them are available online, so you can complete them if you're comfortable. Not everyone's comfortable using the internet, but you can complete them online and then print them off. With the lasting power of attorney for health and welfare, another thing to bear in mind is that there are several people that need to be involved in the process. Obviously central to the form is what's called the donor, so that's the person who's nominating someone. But then you also need someone to witness it. You need someone called a certificate provider, so that's someone who can certify that you understand the seriousness of the document and you're not being coerced into doing it. So there's lots of safeguards around it. And I'm aware that not everyone has someone that they trust to take on the role, and in that case they might choose to make an advance decision to refuse treatment or lasting power of attorney for health and welfare. And actually all three of the tools work really well together. So this is a bit of a summary of all three of them. So I started off with the advance statement. So that's for telling people what's important to you and your identity. And it's free, and we've got free templates that you can use. It's not legally binding, but it must be taken into account when decisions need to be made about your care. So that's the first one. And then the second tool I talked about is the advance decision to refuse treatment. And that's for refusing treatment, and it's free, and again it's legally binding as long as it meets certain criteria, and again we can advise on that. And the form that we use, we worked very closely with healthcare professionals and lawyers on it, so it's very legally tight. And the final tool is the lasting power of attorney for health and welfare, and that's where you nominate one or more people to have the authority to make decisions on your behalf if you don't have capacity. And that's legally binding as long as it's filled in correctly and it's registered. And importantly, for people to be aware that it's potentially free for people on certain benefits, or it's £82 otherwise to register it. So they work, as I said, they work really well together. The advance statement, the first tool, is a really great thing to give your attorney to advise them on what's important to you. It's a really good conversation starter. And some people might choose to complete a lasting power of attorney for health and welfare and an advance decision. And the reason for that is that they might not feel comfortable if they are refusing treatment. They might not want to give that decision to their loved one. It's obviously a very, very difficult decision for some people to make. So in that case, they might choose to go on and make an advance decision to refuse treatment. But you need to be careful about the sequence and that you do it, and we can advise that. Generally, the one that you complete more recently is takes precedent, but we can advise on that. So those are the three tools that the kind of the main body of what I'm talking about today. But I also wanted to talk about having conversations, because it's something that I'm particularly interested in, and something that I think is really important. And one of the things, and one of the kind of aims for our Lambeth project is to try and sort of change the culture around advanced care planning. And sorry, this is a kind of very wordy slide, but it is. I wanted to make sure I kind of cover all the points, because I think that it's quite useful kind of learning from what we've found in our work in Lambeth. So I think from our experience, meeting people across the borough and in wider work that Compassion in Dying has done, is that people generally are pretty willing to have, they're okay having the conversation, and often it's our own fears that get in the way of having that conversation. Sometimes we're worried about upsetting people. And I think it's really helpful to talk about advanced care planning in positive language, because that's what it is. It's allowing people to have much more control of their future care, and treatments. It's ultimately a really positive and empowering thing to do. So I like to refer to them as important conversations for people to have. One of the aims also that we have is very ambitious, but it's normalising advanced care planning, because I'm aware that it's perhaps not talked about as much as our organisation, certainly consortium, would like. So we really want to try and encourage people to talk about it more, and the more people, more chances we have to talk about it, the easier the conversations are. And I think, as I say, one of the kind of benefits of the it's silly talking about the benefits, but I guess I mean one of the sort of, one of the good things, I guess, that came from the pandemic is that people are, I think, a lot more open at talking about future care, which is a good thing. So emphasising the benefits that I talked about, that it's giving you a sense of control over time in your life that you would potentially have very little control. It's making things so much easier for your family and your loved ones, so they know what's important to you. Otherwise, they're just left guessing. And yeah, having an advanced care plan yourself can be really helpful. So I'm really hoping that you will go away today and start making your own advanced care plan. And using the advanced statement, I talked about the first tool as a kind of really gentle way into conversations. That's the emphasis on that is really what makes your life worth living, what's important to you, what kind of things do you enjoy doing. And we've got really great leaflets as well. There's, on the stall outside, you're welcome to take some away. That can be really good just to give to people, give to your friends and family, start the conversation. And we're also looking in Lambeth to try and kind of what we call embedding advanced care planning in practice. So trying to have questions on, for example, referral forms or over 40s health checks and things like that. And so the conversation naturally, there's kind of, permission for people to have conversations. And as I say, don't let your own fears get in the way of conversations. I think that's really, really important. And I always remember we used to have a regular tent at the Lambeth Country Show, and I always remember a lady coming up to me and saying, "Oh, thank you so much for having the stall here today, because my family refused to talk to me about this." So it just felt really, really important that we provide people opportunities to have these conversations. So I'm hoping that, again, that you will all, as well as completing your plan, you'll go away and have chats with your family and the people important to you as well about this free service that I'm about to give you some information about. So, as I say, I am here under the umbrella of the Lambeth Advanced Care Planning Consortium. We're a group of organisations that have come together to raise awareness of advanced care planning, and we provide free one-to-one support for people that want to make an advanced care plan or are thinking about making an advanced care plan and just need a bit more support. So we can tell you more about the 3 tools that I've just covered, and we can help you decide which ones that you might want to complete. You might choose, as I say, to complete all of them, and we can help that, and we can help you complete the documents and to share them. So just to emphasise, it is really important to make sure that people are aware that you've got one. There's no point making one and just putting it in a drawer. And it's also, I think I neglected to say that it's also important to update them. The advanced statement and the advanced decision to refuse treatment. We recommend that people update them regularly, especially if you've got a new diagnosis or if you're going into hospital for some sort of medical treatment or your health condition changes. We recommend that you update them and review them, and we can advise and support around that process as well. So yeah, it's a free service, and it's not going to be available indefinitely in Lambeth. So certainly we're hoping it'll be for the next sort of few months for sure, but I would recommend that you, if you want advice, to make use of it now and to give us a call. So I'll just give you the details of how to contact us. So you can request support by Age UK's My Community service. So on their website, or you can phone up the number there, the 0333 number, and ask for support from the consortium. Or there's actually a form on the Age UK's My Community website that where you can tick advanced care planning conversations, and someone will get back to you with support around that. So that's what's available specifically to people in Lambeth, but I also just wanted to mention, if you know anyone outside Lambeth, the charity who I work for, Compassion in Dying, can provide support as well. We've got a free information line that you can call, and a really good website with really fantastic resources, and we're really happy to post out some information. Someone's just got their hand up at the back there.
I'd just like to explain that if you're a carer and a member of carers up, they do, again, the free one-to-one service out in their own right the way through.
Yeah.
They actually trigger other questions rather than just thinking about it yourself.
Yeah.
Like you would ask.
Yeah, thanks so much for bringing that up. So yes, they're one of the partners, the Carers Hub in Lambeth, a really fantastic organisation. So it's been so brilliant to work alongside them. So they have actually supported us to make a slightly adapted advance statement. So I'll just go back to the previous slide. So this is the one I want to. So in the advance statement for informal carers is a section specifically for what's important in relation to the people that the person that you're caring for. So it was, if you would like a copy of that, just get in touch and we're happy to give you a copy of that. We're also working alongside the Circle Partnership, another brilliant organisation in Lambeth, who do a lot of work with different Portuguese-speaking communities in Lambeth, and they've supported us to create a bilingual advance statement as well. So it's got basically in Portuguese and English. So those resources are available to you as well. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm aware that I covered an awful lot of information in a short period of time. And I hope I haven't bamboozled you too much, but I really hope you'll go away today and make your own advance care plan. I recommend starting with the advance statement, and give us a call, and we're happy to help, and we're happy to send out resources to you as well. And I guess I can send you, Susie, maybe some links that could be put on the website as well. I think that would be helpful. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, so this lady was asking about wills. It's a common question. Unfortunately, we don't provide support around that. So we provide support around how people want to be cared for while they're alive. But I think Age UK will probably have some resources around that. Yeah.
Hi, thanks very much for the information. I'm currently living in London, Croydon, but I'm a patient with Streatham Common Practice, which is, as you know, a Lambeth GP.
Yeah.
So would I be eligible for the service?
Yes, you would. Yes. Oh. Yeah, definitely. If you're registered here, yeah, that's fine. Just feel free to give us a call and we can help you. Yeah, no bother.
I'm a bit confused about the LPA.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're going through a process with my mum. It hasn't really started, but she's well.
Good.
But when you talk about a solicitor, it has to be done legally by the solicitor.
Right.
At a cost. It also had to be registered, I think, in courts or some registered body has to go through.
Yeah.
But what you said there is contrary to what we've been informed by the solicitor.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, it's a legally binding document, and so some people feel more comfortable getting the support from the solicitor, but a lot of people just can't afford to do that. You know, I've heard people paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and they just can't afford to do it. So we, as I say, we're working with a really brilliant organisation called Ask Irwin, who provides specialist support, and they can provide that support for free. So definitely one of the key messages I'd really love you to go away with today is that you don't have to involve a solicitor, and it doesn't have to involve, if you're on certain benefits, it doesn't have to involve any cost. The only cost it might involve is the registration fee, which is the £82. So
But this is limited to Lambeth at the moment, 2 months.
yeah, but
It's not a
yeah.
nationwide procedure.
So, I mean, even when the project finishes, people can still complete it and register it themselves, and they can get support over the phone from organisation Compassion in Dying, and also through the Office of the Public Guardian they can provide support as well. But I would recommend, I would recommend any of you thinking of completing one to give us a call, and we can advise around that. Yeah, because I'm aware that it's prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. They think that it is. Yeah.
Is there a closing date?
A closing date for the project?
To apply?
We'd recommend that you do it as soon as possible. Yeah. So it's funny. It's one of these things that people go away and think, oh, that's such a good idea. I'm definitely going to do one, and then they kind of forget about it because life gets in the way. So we're really, I would encourage you to make one. What we're considering doing an advanced care planning day in Lambeth, so we get everyone at the same time just completing their plan. Because often people just leave it until it's a kind of a really stressful time in their life. So, question.
I'd just like to say one of the advantages that we have an autistic son, and we all have engaged with each other. But as far as he's concerned, we can now talk to the GP on his behalf. I can ring up his electricity people, I can talk to them. As long as you tell them and send them the details that you have these, his commission, and you have the LPA, you can talk to all the people in hospitals, all the services. It's so useful.
Yeah.
It really helps to manage things.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard that, but she was talking about how beneficial it is having if you are nominated as a lasting power of attorney, because it gives you authority to have conversations with healthcare professionals or anyone involved in the person's care, if you are. Because otherwise, if you haven't, I mean, often, I think I said this, but it is quite common for people to say, oh, it's fine, my daughter knows what I want, or my son knows what I want, but unless you've nominated them as a lasting power of attorney, ultimately it'll be the healthcare professional that makes decisions about treatment anyway, so it's important that people are aware of that. Yeah.
If you have a lasting power of attorney, do you still have to do the urgent care plan?
So, you don't have to. No, I don't know if I actually made clear earlier on that there's the two types. So if you got one, do you have a lasting power of attorney?
I have a lasting power of attorney.
Is it the finance one or the?
I did it through my solicitor.
Do you remember if it's the finance one or the health and welfare one?
I think it was the finance one.
Yeah.
Should anything become if I got incapacitated and the person that I chose for that.
Yeah.
Make the decision regarding my finances.
Yeah. So there's two types. So we don't cover the finance one, but you might want to consider doing a health and welfare one. And once you've done that, you might also want to consider doing the other two. So you don't have to, though. They can work well together. As I say, the advance statement, which is a statement of wishes, can be really helpful to give to your attorney, so they understand a bit more about what's important to you. Yeah.
I wanted to mention this in living will.
Yeah.
If you've got a lot of children, would it be a good idea to mention the life to your solicitors?
I don't know about life insurance, but certainly with the living will, with the advance decision to refuse treatment, it's the more people that know about it, the better, because as I say, there isn't a national register, so certainly you can let your solicitor know that if you've made one, that you've got a copy. But really, it's a kind of healthcare professionals, so making sure that it's on your summary care record with your GP, and but I wouldn't think it to have much. I don't think it's important, the link between that and life insurance. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions or questions online anywhere? No. Okay. I'm aware that we're slightly early, but if there's no more questions, then I think I'll finish up. If that's okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
As you can see, Verena is highly experienced in these quite technical matters of an LPA, but it was about 5 years ago when I heard you speak at a session then that I thought, oh my goodness, I really must do something. And exactly as you say, I thought it was a great idea, and then I left it. But then about 2 years ago, I did do it. And it is worth doing because it actually has given me peace of mind that I know that if something happens to me and I'm unable to express what I want, it's very clearly set out in a couple of documents. So thanks to Verena, she's given me peace of mind.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of people say that, peace of mind, that's a really lovely phrase.
Yeah, it really has, because I just know, and particularly I was awful thing. So when COVID happened, I just thought, I'm glad I've got things clear, because with COVID, there mightn't have been an opportunity to tell my family what I wanted. Yeah. So I really had peace of mind, particularly during COVID. Yeah. So thank you very much, Verena. We really appreciated your talk. I hope you've all been feeling better informed about what happened today. And if you could fill out your evaluation form, Sandra will collect them on the way out, because we really are interested to know what you thought was good and what you think we could do better next time if we manage to do another one. But the more you give us the feedback, the more chance we have to do it again. So I'll thank Verena very much and say this is a full token.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done. I know it's a huge amount of work.
Is there a website? I just realised you haven't got a website.
Yeah, so on my stall outside, there's lots of leaflets, so just help yourself. I don't think I've got any here, but yeah, I can come through and give you some.
And so a couple of the representatives are still sitting at the tables there, so if you want to pick up more information, please do go and visit them. We're finishing a bit early because one of the speakers, who was down, Rosie Cruikshank, unfortunately was unable to be with us today because she suddenly fell ill this morning. So we didn't have time to find someone else to talk about pain management. But should we have another day, we will include chronic pain management again, hopefully with someone who does turn up. Not that she didn't live to turn up, who couldn't make it. Thank you all very much for coming, and to all those who are online, thank you very much for being online and being here. This whole session, this whole day, has been filmed, and we are going to turn them into 5 separate little films that we will then send to the surgeries so they can have them to be accessed on their website, so that hopefully this information can go much wider than just for those of you online and those of you here this afternoon. So watch out for a text from your surgery telling you that these talks are going to be available online. But thank you all for coming. What surgery do you go to? Sorry? Oh, Merton. No, I'm afraid you need to be in the Streatham PCN.
I came here to register and I found out it's
right. No, it's not exclusive, but it was designed for Streatham residents. But anyway, if I've got your details, I'll take it and I'll try and make sure you get a copy of the link. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to my AV team, Catherine and Nick, who have been amazing. Thank you very much. It's just
structure and real solid growth. I'm
You're
just,
still stressing the
yeah, I just wonder, you know, with your question and that, I wonder if I am okay.
Well,